Alright, wrap up time for Nahiri's End in Modern. So, the main thing we are trying to figure out about this deck is whether adding the Nahiri and Emrakul combo, which takes up 3 slots in the deck, whether it makes the deck better or worse, whether it's worth it, and is 2 copies of Nahiri really enough to make the plan even feel functional. The second thing we were interested in, the second thing that made this deck unique, was the 3 Siege Rhinos. So that's what we're going to talk about. We already know that Living End is a real deck. It is a good deck. It is a powerful deck. It can win tournaments. We know that. There's no reason in discussing that aspect of things. We also know that Nahiri Emrakul is a good combo. We see it in Jeskai. It's had top 8s in Modern, so we know both of those things. Living End is good, Nahiri Emrakul is good, but are those things good together? So looking back over our matches, overall, I felt that Emrakul and even Nahiri were more often bad draws than good draws. That was my general takeaway. There was one time we got to Exile and Enchantment with Nahiri that was sweet. We never actually were able to play and plus Nahiri for multiple turns to win the game with Emrakul, and there were definitely times where we just had mulligans in our opening hand because we had Nahiris that we never could cast, or we were going to Living End on turn 3 so Nahiri didn't do anything, or we would randomly draw an Emrakul when we were cycling instead of another cycler or a cascade spell. So more often than not, I felt like I was disappointed when we drew those cards. I don't want to say they're bad in the deck, that the combo's bad in the deck, because I think it can be very good, and we never really ran into the situations where, in theory, the combo would be good. We never had a game where we were locked out with Graveyard Hate. I guess we did against Jund, and we never drew Nahiri. So that's the thing, though. It's only 2 copies, so it's not even a guaranteed, like, this lets you beat Graveyard Hate. It's kind of, well, maybe you happen to luck into it, and then your opponent can't attack it, and I don't know. So I think it's cool. One thing that crossed my mind as we were playing is maybe it would be a sweet sideboard plan for the deck. So in game 1s, Living End is pretty strong because there's not too much main deck Graveyard Hate. Similar to like Dredge or something, it's a very, very good game 1 deck. And then in game 2 or game 3, things get worse because your opponents are bringing in Graveyard Hate. So you could counter that by bringing in maybe 4 Nahiris, or really going heavily on the Nahiri plan and just planning on cycling and Simian Spirit Guiding into your Nahiris, get an Emrakul, and win that way. I will say, Siege Rhino was also very high variance. There were some times where it was very impressive, and Siege Rhino is not a bad option for beating Graveyard Hate either. Like, it's just big and tramply and drains. So there were definitely some games where we took our opponent by surprise by just slamming a Siege Rhino, which isn't really expected out of a Living End deck. And even some of our opponents commented on it, like, I really wasn't expecting a Siege Rhino. So Siege Rhino, I think in our games, was more impressive than Nahiri and Emrakul. The problem is it puts a lot of pressure on the mana base. The mana base is already pretty crazy, and being able to add white for Siege Rhino and Nahiri really puts a lot of pressure on the mana base and makes it very challenging. And because you're a Living End deck and you can't play cheap cards, you don't get to take advantage of all the awesome white sideboard cards. You don't get Stony Silences. You don't get the Storm Hate cards. So I don't know. I think the deck is cool and unique, and it's fun, and it's an interesting plan B. Both Siege Rhino and the Nahiri Emrakul combo are interesting plan Bs for a Living End deck, but overall, I think normal Living End is probably better, and that Living End probably isn't the best home for Nahiri and Emrakul. So that's my overall takeaway. If you are interested in trying it, maybe the sideboard plan would be a good idea. Otherwise, build like Jeskai Nahiri, build regular Living End. Anyway, that's been our Much Abrew About Nothing for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Nahiri's End in Modern, and I will talk to you soon.